Rtype. To all those who don't know their shmups, it's probably one of the first and best shmups within all of that category. And it extended into a whole bunch of games that led up to 2000, or up into the 2000s, I would say. Several years later, they are back with R-Type Final 2. Now, honestly, I didn't know much about the shmup until I was introduced to this game via by R-Type Final, and I absolutely loved that game. I've tried the first few games out, and those were freaking hard. And so I thought, is R-Type Final 2 going to be like a combination of both? What's it going to be like? So, I'm going to be doing a review on it, and I hope you guys enjoy. So, without further ado, let's start the video. Hello everyone, GalacticStorm here. Welcome to the show, and today we are going to be doing a star count review of R-Type Final 2. Now, R-Type is one of the best shmups within that category, along with Gradius, Raiden, or Raiden, however you want to pronounce it, and a few others. So, if you're expecting much of a story with R-Type, well, it's just very simple on that. So, if you want to look more into it, you can look in the wiki and that. I don't want to spoil you or anything of that matter. But if you're looking for an old shmup, just like R-Type, or if you're wondering if it's like the other games within the series, well, you're going to be, well, hopefully you're going to be happy. It is very similar to the other R-Type games. You have your force. Your force is basically like a big ass shield that goes in front or back of your ship. It will protect you from most enemy projectiles. They won't protect you from like big ass lasers or anything of that matter. But they will stop projectiles and they will take down one hit enemies in that. And if you feel it so much, you'll get like this overdrive in that, and if you use it, it will destroy almost all enemies on the map. They will damage like big enemies. They will damage bosses. But there is one thing that you will know right off the bat, so I can just explain this to you right now. The game is absolutely hard, and with R-Type, this is not a surprise. R-Type's been well known for its hard games in that. The first three games were absolutely hard, and R-Type Final 2 is no different. If you even get hit once, you are going to lose all of your upgrades, including your force, your bites, your missiles, all that. But you will have your charged cannon. Each craft will have their own kind of unique cannons, forces, missiles, bites, all that fun stuff. So that's good. And you start off with three of them, one of them being the legendary Arrowhead from the first R-Type. The other two were from R-Type Final. But they will lead you down to several other ships, and instead of using them with currency, you have to play the game itself, in which I'll explain within the pros. There are multiple stages to go through, and there are multiple endings to go through as well. So you do have to, depending on what stage in that, which I will let you find out on your own, and you will have either good or happy endings, depending on which one you choose from. And it's like I said, it's like the Dark Souls of shmups. So you have to be very careful, and you're going to be getting your ass kicked a lot if you are a beginner. So do not be surprised that you're going to be dying a lot within the first few stages, and that especially when you're going later down the road. So let's talk about the pros and cons on this thing, shall we? Now let's start with the pros. The pros, well, from this you can choose other aircraft, and they would have again like their own forces, their own charge cannons, etc., etc. And unlike other games, which you could throw like maybe $20 or maybe $5 just to get a certain character, with R-Type Final 2, you can't really do that. You would have to play the game, and in order to get all of the currency that you would need to unlock a certain aircraft, you would have to go from that branch from the first three that you select, and then it would go from there. Some of the times you would have to have passwords, but you can look up in Facebook and that, and Granzella has two for some of the for two of the aircraft there, and some of them you would have to do like specific challenges in that first. Some of them you would have to finish like a certain stage or have a certain aircraft unlocked first. And yeah, that's what I like. That's what I miss about this about the games about cryptocurrency and that. So I thought it was a very nice touch, and I was very happy for that. And it leads to a whole bunch of gameplay in which you could play another aircraft that you would absolutely hate first, and then like if you get the other one from that line, then bam, you would get something that you would absolutely love. Graphics are good for the most part. I will explain one of those parts within the cons soon. The music is good too. I loved the beat of the music and that, and I thought it was very entertaining and such. The stages are very similar to the earlier games. So if you are an R-Type fan, you are absolutely going to love that. And it's like a nice slow pace, and it's going to be good for all those other people too. But, that's all I have to say about pros. Let's talk about the cons. Now, first, if you are a fan of Final, you are going to be somewhat disappointed. The stages, like I said earlier, are much harder compared to Final. And I'll be honest with you, some of the stages are very short, such as Stage 1 and Stage 4. They're probably like maybe 2.5 minutes, and then the boss, well, they're not as much. But when it comes to very difficult stages, like I mentioned about the puzzles part, like some of them you would have to follow it into a precise coordinates to miss some of the stuff, and so you won't be killed or anything. Some of them are just absolute difficult, and if you die from that part, you're probably not going to, well, you're not going to be progressing any further. Let's just put it that way. Thankfully, with continues in that, you will get a lot more when you continue playing the game in that. So at least there's that. The graphics I feel on some stages feel incomplete. The most noticeably would be stage 3. It doesn't feel like, it just didn't feel right. And some of the enemies in that, they just didn't, they don't look like graphic wise in that, they didn't look good. But that's just my complaint. Some of them have their own perspective. The stages on DLC, the DLC that you get, if you get the pass for $20, you get for all of them at least. You start off with probably one of the hardest stages within the series, and I really don't like that idea. You start from R-Type 3, Stage 4, and that's the hardest stage within the game, or within that game at least. But there are others. Some of them are easier, some of them are harder. But there are other packs that are coming out, so I can't really say much about that. Another complaint too, and I know this is crowdfunding and that, but some of the ships are not complete. Um, you know, it's just my complaint. I'm not going to say anything bad about that, but that's just from me. Um, what I would say is another complaint that I also have for continue for me at least when you're detailing your R-Type craft, there's not much to go through. You basically have to go through from some of the designs that Granzilla has given you so far, but hopefully that can be expanded much further with the other packages that are coming in. So for R-Type Final 2, what would I give it for a rating on? Well, in all honesty, I'm going to give R-Type Final 2 a rating out of 3.5 stars out of 5. Now, is it anything like R-Type Final in cases? Yes and no. It is more difficult than R-Type Final, in my perspective, and it is much more punishing. But it is still a fun and entertaining game. There are multiple ships to try out, and with those stages there, you can use those ships to try them out, see which ones are better at certain stages and which ones are not. But it will give you a whole bunch of entertainment for a long time. But if you are a fan of like very punishing games in that, similar to like Dark Souls, give Rtype Final 2 a try, and I bet you won't regret it. So yeah, thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And be sure to look at my Facebook page down below. And I will be doing similar to a contest like I did with the Xbox Series S. But instead, I'm going to be giving out away a free copy of Rtype Final 2 for the Xbox. So I hope you guys stay tuned for that, and if you guys are interested, I'll put a video of that pretty soon. Until then, GalacticStorm saying thank you all very much, and I'll see you guys later.